Hello, my name is Kathy Wall, and I'm the director of the Inclusion Collaborative, and I am here to share and train and provide information about using the Common Kit and using it to help teach self-regulation. So this training will take probably about an hour, hour and a half, and it will provide you information about using the Common Kit. This is what the Common Kit looks like. And when you've completed this training and the form and the survey that are at the end embedded in the PowerPoint, you will be able to get a Common Kit through Monterey County Office of Education. So I'd like to thank our sponsor, California Department of Education. This is part of a grant through the Inclusion Early Learning Care and Coordination Project and the Monterey County Office of Education. Thank you very much. So the Inclusion Collaborative is a department at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and we really believe that all children need to feel welcome. All adults do too, but children especially need to feel welcome. And there's research, and I'll share with you how when you do feel welcome, your brain is able to engage in learning, and you will actually over time do much better in school. However, when you are dysregulated and unregulated, and sometimes children are not welcome in their classroom or their setting, talker setting, and often they don't feel welcome. So we feel there's a real correlation between self-regulation and being welcome, and that it's really our job as adults to teach children self-regulation skills early on so that they can feel welcome and part of a group and belong. The Inclusion Collaborative. Oh, I'm Kathy Wall, and this is my email address if you'd like to get a hold of me. I'd like to also mention that we are doing this training as a partner with the Discovery Source, which is a publishing company in Southern California. We originally used to provide make and take trainings using the making calm down kits. But we unfortunately lost our resources to be able to provide those. And so we partnered with the Discovery Source for them to provide these training, the materials in a kit. And it's been a great partnership for the past 2 years. So I really am thankful that they've been able to partner with us on this project. So today what I'm hoping to do is share a little bit about what we do at the Inclusion Collaborative. But I want to really give you some good information about the importance of recognizing feelings, becoming familiar with strategies, and the supports that we can use to promote and support social and emotional development and teach strategies for self-regulation at a young age. And then I'm going to actually pull out the Common Kit and show you what you can do with it and how to put it together when you receive it. Again, at the end of the PowerPoint, there'll be a survey that you'll need to complete and email in, and that is how you will be able to receive a Common Kit. So the Inclusion Collaborative, as I mentioned, is a department at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. We have been around for about 15 years. We originally started out supporting young children, mostly preschool inclusion. But over the years, we've morphed and aged with the times, and we are supporting birth through age 24 years. And we truly believe that all children, regardless of their abilities or disabilities, should be included and have full right to equitable access to both high quality, inclusive learning and community environments. And then our mission and vision is right there. We provide coaching, technical assistance, and professional development and trainings. We have mostly done on in-person trainings, but with our new health reality, we are doing a lot more virtual. So you are experiencing one of these trainings right now. We provide make and take trainings. We have an annual conference every year, and then we provide the coaching on site in virtual technical assistance as needed. This is our website, inclusioncollaborative.org. I encourage you to go there and click on and sign up to be on our mailing list. We send out mailings once or twice a month, typically on different events, different opportunities. We have trainings that are often free, and resources that impact our folks that are interested in supporting inclusion. We also have a Facebook, which we regularly post upcoming events, especially updates, change in laws, et cetera, et cetera. We have a Pinterest page, which has all kinds of adaptations and modifications on it. Again, for preschool up through high school supports. We have over 8,000 pins a month, and it's not only educators and teachers and administrators, but also parents and families do that, pin their modifications and ideas. And then we have a YouTube channel, which is the Inclusion Collaborative YouTube channel, which has all of our conference recordings on it. We provide a virtual platform for that also. And we also have PSAs and other inclusion impact stories that we like to share, because that's what really builds inclusion, is when people see it working well. So I encourage you to go to YouTube, and you could be there for the rest of your life. Up here within the little bar is the YouTube channel right there. This I really want to make sure you know about. It is free. Anyone can call it. We've had a private funder for over 14 years provide the funding for this. And we also have funding from our first 5 Santa Clara County to make sure that we have Vietnamese and Spanish speaking availability. We have 2 full-time staff right now who are providing this service. And not only do we answer the phone and emails and provide supports, but we also go out and do trainings. So I encourage you to use this. Anyone can call any question. It's better to get information than to wonder. And if you have further information about the calming kit, you can also call here, and we have more information about that also. So I encourage you not to lose this. It's English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So let's look at our feelings and how do we feel. Even right now, talking about feelings is very important, because you want to make sure that everyone is engaged and thinking about emotions before you actually do some training on them. So check in with your feelings. Where are we at today? And do you need to add any other emotions? And this is not so easy to do to a virtual audience who's going to look at this later, but it is something to think about. Is there a feeling not listed here? Is there a feeling that really resonates with you? But before you go ahead and start teaching and learning about emotions, it's really good to check in with how you're feeling right now. So at my house, I like to say tired is not a feeling, so that can go either way. It's really also important to think about how you were taught about emotions. What did you learn? Did you go to feeling school? Did you have someone share what emotions are? Did you watch closely and watch and imitate what others were doing? Typically, that's the way most of us were taught. Very few adults today were taught directly how to express their feelings. And so it's something we need to think about. And what were some of the feelings when you were growing up that you weren't allowed to have, or that you weren't allowed to express? And then how comfortable are you with emotions right now? I know there's quite a few folks who grew up with families that didn't want you to be mad or super silly and crazy, happy. Well, you could be happy, but you had to show it in a decorous way, an adult way. And so that's just something important to think about, what messages you received about emotions when you were a young child. And then again, how comfortable are you with them now? If someone started crying in front of you, how would you deal with it? So just something to think about when you're working with young children. It's really good to be in tune with how you were feeling as a young child. So these are some emotion, feelings, truisms, as we call them, that all feelings are valid. It is okay to have feelings. We all have feelings. And what the important thing with feelings is what you do with them. We also know that feelings change. You can be super happy and super sad within a minute. And that's perfectly normal too. Some people are faster than others, but it's just important to understand that feelings can change. some quickly, not so quickly. And you can also have more than one feeling about something. You can be really sad that it's raining outside, but yet it makes you happy to be able to justify sleeping in. That's an example. And then you can also feel differently than someone else about the very same thing. You can have an event happen, and you can have two people see it, and they can both have different emotional reactions or feelings about that event. And that is perfectly normal. So those are some things that you need to know about feelings, and that about emotions, and that all feelings are valid. It's okay to have feelings. We're going to watch a video about what it would be like if all adults regulated like toddlers. And I think it's an entertaining one, for one thing, but it also really shows us how important it is to teach self-regulation at a young age. And so this is available on YouTube if you want to watch it over and over and over again, like I do sometimes with my videos. And so I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. If you want to look it up on YouTube, it's called "What If Adults Regulated Like Toddlers?" So go ahead and view this.
I want to pay bills. I want to pay bills. I want to pay. I want to be there now. I want to be there now. No, no, no. I don't know where I'm going. Mama, Mama. Where's my Wi-Fi? I hate you, Wi-Fi. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I wanted soy. I wanted soy. Soy. I wanted soy.
Wait a minute, it's not over.
I wanted soy.
Okay, so you can see that our world would be even crazier if adults regulated like toddlers. I hope you enjoyed that. So many of us have learned over time about different techniques or supports to regulate ourselves, and these are just a few of them. Many of us drink coffee, get going, get alerted in the morning to help regulate us and get our brain ready to learn or do its work. Many of us take deep breaths. We know deep breaths are very good for helping to regulate both the mind and the body. Many of us talk to someone. Having a conversation and having someone listen to you can be very helpful in regulating yourself. Some of us have animals, dogs, cats, well, mostly dogs, that we walk, or they want us to walk them, and that is very regulating. Yoga is an amazing source of regulation and stress relief, and so yoga is a great way to increase your self-regulation. Some people watch video games and feel very excited about them, and that helps to regulate and calm them down. And then many of us eat chocolate or have a glass of wine, and that helps to regulate us. So over time, as I said, we've all learned to do things that help regulate us. Not necessarily that we've been to self-regulation classes, we've just learned to do what we know helps us feel better. So what is self-regulation? Self-regulation is that ability to regulate your own thinking, your own emotions, and your own behaviors. It's your little inner voice saying, I need to do this so I can think differently, or I need to do this so I don't cry in public, or I need to do this so I don't yell and scream or kick the wall. And so it's your own inner voice being able to regulate your thinking, emotions, and behavior. And children can translate experiences into information. that they can use to help regulate. So for example, a young infant is often very dysregulated, and they need help soothing and calming, especially when they're crying, because crying is their communication to say they're dysregulated. So many of us have learned over time that if we swaddle them, cuddle them, rock them, soothe them, sing to them, bring their hands together, give them a soft fuzzy blanket, those are all things that help to calm a newborn. And over time, by 6, 7, 8 months, many infants are able to reach for their thumb or put their hands in their mouth or chew on their blanket or somehow crawl over to mommy and kind of indicate that they want to be cuddled. So kids learn from their experiences how they can regulate. And ideally, we want to keep doing that after they're in infancy, because children really need to develop that self-regulation prior to going to school, ideally. And children can be taught self-regulation, and that's what the Calming Kit has strategies to help do that. So why do we regulate? There is lots of research and data that show that when you're not regulated, your thinking is ineffective. Your emotions take over, hijack your brain, and your thinking brain is not able to function. So thinking and emotion are closely related to each other. And if you can regulate your emotions, then you can engage and learn. Even just saying, I'm mad, is enough to help regulate and start engaging your learning brain. So the importance of this is at school, if you are dysregulated, you typically don't stay in the classroom very long. You'll go down the hall and not get educational opportunity in the principal's office. So it's very important that young children learn intentional self-regulation because that really predicts their school success. And an example of ineffective thinking when you're not regulated is if anyone has ever been pulled over by a police officer and they have their lights and their siren on and you're in the front seat going, and they ask for your license and registration and you hardly even know where it is or what it is. And that's an example how our brain just really gets hijacked by all those emotions. And if you're in school as a young child and you're always operating in a dysregulated brain, learning becomes very hard. And actually they say self-regulation predicts school success down the road. So it is a very important thing to teach early. I'm going to show you another YouTube. This is Daniel Siegel's hand model of the brain, which you can look up on YouTube and access. It's a wonderful resource to be able to teach what the hand looks like when the emotions are changing within our brain. And I'm going to share that with you right now. Again, it's available on YouTube. So I encourage you to look at this a couple times because just watching this video once with a trainer virtually is not always the best way to engage in it. So meanwhile, let's get my little cursor. There we go.
One of the most rewarding experiences for me has been to study brain science and apply it to the experience of parenting. And the hand model of the brain that I use to teach parents is very useful to understand that. So if you take your thumb and put it in the middle of your palm, put your fingers over the top, this is a very useful model of the brain. And when we can actually see in front of us what's going on in the brain, then we can change what the brain does. So let me walk you through very basically what happens in this brain and the structures in it. And it goes like this. The spinal cord comes up, representing the wrist, and then you have coming up into the skull, the brain stem and the limbic area, which work together to help regulate arousal and your emotions and the way you have a fight, flight, freeze response. These are below the cortex, the limbic and brainstem areas, and the cortex is this higher part of the brain that allows us to perceive the outside world, to think and reason. And this frontmost part of the brain, right behind your forehead, so the person's oriented like this, is actually the part that regulates the subcortical, limbic, and brainstem areas. This regulation is very important because sometimes we can have all sorts of things happen in our life. We're tired, we're exhausted, someone pushes a particular emotional button, and we can flip our lids. So rather than being tuned in and connected and balanced and flexible, we can lose all of that flexibility, even lose moral reasoning, and act in ways that are terrifying to others, including our children. Now, you can actually bring yourself back online and come back to the high road and make a repair with your child. And that's important to explain to them. And you can also use this hand model of the brain to explain to children, even as young as 5 and 6, how to understand when their emotions are rising up from the brainstem and limbic areas here, and how it's overriding the prefrontal area and making it so they may be about to flip their lids. So I've had kids come tell me that they're about to go flip their lids and they need a break. They need a timeout. And by even just naming that, they can tame it. And that's the power of using the hand model for ourselves and our children to help us all make sense of what goes on in the emotional communication that we have in the course of day-to-day life.
Okay, again, I encourage you to look at this video again because it's very powerful and it has really been useful in my career working with young children and explaining. I also use it in my own household so that we know, you can kind of tap into how folks are feeling about their brain status. So it's a good way to have some fun with it. So let's just go over, get your brains out. I encourage you to get your hand up. The front fingers here, the fist, that's your forebrain, your frontal cortex that has all that planning, reasoning, organization skills in it. That actually is not connected to your limbic system. The full brain connection really doesn't happen until about 25 years of age. So if kids need support and regulation throughout their developmental progress, that's totally normal. So if you hold your prefrontal cortex as a fist, looking like a fist, and that is what your brain looks like when it's totally regulated, calm, and able to think well. If you lift your hands up and you look in the palm of your hand, the circular part of your palm here is your limbic system, and that is the emotional center that regulates that fight, flight, freeze system that we must have in order to survive in this world. It regulates all of our emotions. It's a very powerful, it's also the first system to really be developed, and it can be very strong and take over the frontal cortex, precortex, and cerebral cortex of all the thinking and reasoning. As we grow older, we're able to regulate and use our prefrontal cortex to be able to control that. So many adults will flip their lids, but they'll say, whoa, I better not do that. And then they can regulate themselves. Children often need some support in this. So it's this palm area in your hand that has all those emotions that we know young children have. So self-regulation in the hand model, the self-regulation helps our cerebral cortex gain control of our limbic system. And the limbic system is that part in the palm that I showed you. It's at the base of our brain, just above the brainstem, and it's very strong and is the first real system that our body starts developing because we need it for fight, flight, fright, etc. So this, when the hand is open like this, that's a flipped lid. That is when your limbic system has taken over the brain. This is in between, either before or after dysregulation event. And you can see a brain can go either way at this point. And then we've got the closed fist that regulates the higher level brain, our cerebral cortex, and our frontal lobe is able to say, ooh, I'm feeling really mad. I better take a deep breath and maybe a timeout. And that is a regulated brain right there. And it's that regulated brain that's able to think and learn. So that's what our goal is with the kiddos we work with. So these are some examples of different self-regulation activities that you might see young children in different developmental stages use. It's not the same for every child. It's not the same for every age level, but you may see, especially in young children, toddlers, thumb sucking is very popular. Also having a pacifier is very popular. Having a blankie that you know is close at hand and always there for snuggling and feeling and rubbing. My own children each had a blankie that looks like it went through a war zone, but it was very well loved, and that's because it helped to regulate them. You can see young children hitting and banging their heads. In school-age children, we often tell them to sit still, and actually wiggling helps to regulate kids. So there's a lot of teachers that have gotten pretty smart about that in elementary school, and they have like little therapy balls they can sit on, or little pads that have pokey things, or there's different chairs that you can sit that tilt and move, and those actually help kids regulate by the wiggling, believe it or not. Chewing gum, chewing pens, chewing paper clips, often you see that as a source of regulation for kids. Getting up and moving around helps kids to self-regulate. And what do? We tell them, sit down, don't move. Whereas the getting up and moving around really helps them. Young children and adults and teenagers actually can hum, some usually unconsciously, but that humming can actually help to provide self-regulation. Humming, however, when you're in a large classroom and taking an algebra test, can be problem causing. So we often have some behavior replacement that we might need to be doing. Hitting and banging can be ways to self-regulate also. And then in teenagers or adolescents, you might see them listening to music, electronics, being on their phones, fidgeting, chewing gum again is common. Humming, again, you might see, and hitting and head banging can also help. Well, not help, but you can see that behavior. So that it's just important to know that there's different developmental regulation tips, techniques that we see in different age groups. And there are more, as you know. Let's see. So why do we use the calming kit? Because we use it to teach appropriate self-regulation. And that is our goal, that children are out in the world and are able to self-regulate themselves. So what is the calming kit? And this is a picture of it. And I'll be showing you the real one in a minute again. The Calm Down Kit's a group of tools that provide that sensory support and strategies and emotional steps to help young bodies especially regulate both their bodies and their emotions and regain control of their brains. Brains get hijacked by those strong emotions coming from the limbic system. And so we want to be able to help engage their higher level thinking to help them regulate themselves. So when do we use the calming kit? Well, you don't just teach at any time, because that's not going to work very well. So what I want to share with you is when our brains are regulated and thinking well, that's a great time to read the Calm Down Social Story, which we're going to share with you, to talk about some of the strategies. Here's our calming area. Don't forget it if you might need it. Incidental or direct teaching can occur then. This is the time right before an escalation that it's really time to pull out the calming kit and to use some of those strategies before the child escalates. And when a child's in full-blown de-escalation or unregulation, this is not the time that we say, hello, we need to talk about what you need to do when you calm down. That is not an appropriate time. That's when you give them an option or a choice that you've already read from the social story so that they know, would you like to go to the calm down area? Here's a glitter bottle. Would you like to take some breaths? Here's some bubbles. So those are some things that you can try when a child is in full blown, but you do not have a teaching moment there. After the unregulated incident time and the child starts to calm down, this is a perfect time to pull out some of the strategies. And maybe this is the emotions, feelings, emotions wheel that we have, the emotions chart to help kids identify their emotions. This could be the 5 breaths visual support that we're going to share with you. Some of the calming strategy cards could be used at this point. So this is the time when you would pull out some of those strategies. And obviously, when we're regulated and engaged with our learning brain, all ready to go, this is a good time to teach also. But the main thing from this is you do not want to have a teaching session right when a child is in a dysregulated state. So what's in the calming kit? Here's a sheet of information of what's in it, and it's self-regulated strategies and tools to use in the classroom. And what I like about it is, the backpack's clear and washable, so you can wipe it off, you can clean it, and it can be it's portable, so you can take it out on the playground, you can take it back inside, you can move it over to the block area if it might need to be there. So that's one handy thing. I've even known families to take it and put it in their car, especially if you're going on a long trip, and you're stuck together, although we're not going on any trips right now. But at any rate, what's nice about it is it's all together and it's clean and washable and everything's laminated so it will survive. So these are some of the items in the calming kit. And again, there's items included in the kit, but you can also customize and make your own additions to the calming kit. And so I'm going to give you some ideas to do that. Items included in this calming kit are the feelings wheel, and I'll show you a picture of that. And that's where kids can identify their feelings and how they're feeling. Take 5 breaths visual support. That's another really nice visual support in here, using Velcro and moving the breath picture down to, and you move it. It's wonderful. There's a squeeze ball, and we have the shape of a heart with a smile, so that even adds hopefully more good vibes. We have a calm down social story, and I will share that with you, but it's has really good strategies for kids to use when they might need them. There's calming strategy cards, which come on a ring, and you can wear them on a lanyard, and it's got ideas and activities of ways that you can calm down. We have a self-talking phone, which I'll show you, that you can talk into positive self-talk. There's some bingo cards. There's I'll Be an Orpal book, which is the bingo cards are with feelings, by the way. I'll Be an Orpal book is a book about an apple and an orange that became an Orpal and how he was different but yet accepted. And then there's a teacher lesson activity and plans for teachers that they can use, and I'll share that with you. So these are some things that you can add. It depends on your population and your classroom and where you're using it. But one thing I don't have on here is a turtle puppet. A turtle regulates themselves by going in their shell. And so having a turtle going into their shell is a really good way to demonstrate having a calming area, taking a time out, break from everything, just like the turtle does. Crayons, color sheets can be relaxing. Bubbles, we love bubbles. They put a lot of smiles on faces, plus they're good for breathing. Play-Doh is, in addition to the squeeze ball, provides that hard work that we need to do to expend some of those high emotional feelings. You can have books that have calming pictures, calming little stories, calming just environmental pictures that are very calming to look at. You can have water and or snacks, and there are children that become unregulated when they have not had enough to drink or have they're hungry, so that's an idea. Again, calming pictures, calming posters. Earphones, noise canceling earphones are really helpful for kids because sometimes it's the loud noises that dysregulate them, or you can have earphones that are connected to music so they can have music or meditation from an iPod or an iPad. A weighted sock or something that's weighted. I know in the Calm Down Kit story, we have a snake that's weighted that they wear around their neck. We've made weighted socks using soccer socks and filling it with beans and putting a little smiley face on it. And kids can wear that on their shoulders, and that deep pressure can be relaxing and calming. A glitter bottle or a glitter wand can be very soothing and causing calmness for kids that watch it. And you can add other items, as I mentioned, the turtle puppet. So these are just some ideas for you to think about. And we're going to go ahead and now get into the actual items in the calming kit that you are going to receive. So the calming kit comes with a lesson, activity, and support guide for teachers. And let's see if my camera is working. Just wanted to show you this is what it looks like. And it's fairly thick, and it's got all kinds of wonderful lessons and ideas and helpful tips for you. So this is part of the teacher guide. And why do we use these items? And the teacher guide supports all the items. So that's another reason that we are very happy with this calming kit, that we've got the support in the backpack itself. So we use squeezing or physical activities because when our bodies get tense and stressed and upset, we tend to have stimulating our limbic brain causes a lot more energy bursts. Fight, flight, we need that energy to go and move and do something quick. So if you have that excess energy as a child, it's a good idea to have that squeeze ball, and you can squeeze it. And this is a time when our hand model is flipped, that it would be a good time to use the squeeze bottle. So by squeezing the ball, taking the 5 breaths, visual support can also be helpful. Getting rid of that energy, and the calming activity cards that we have. We also, part of the calming activity cards, we include Play-Doh, and Play-Doh by itself, using hands and pushing and moving can actually expend some of that energy too. So why use a feeling wheel? This little guy right here is working on his homework packet from school that he didn't really want to do. So he was able to identify his feelings. As you can see on the table there, he has his feelings wheel. And then he was able to say, he is, feeling okay about doing these right now. Not happy, not sad, but he's okay. And so there's a picture in that. And so then he was able to engage his learning brain and able to get his packets of work done. So these are the feelings, and they use the little arrow to indicate what their feelings are. And by just identifying your feelings helps you engage your brain. And the time to use the feelings wheel is when your brain is just before or just after, and that helps to calm. This is what the Calming Kit activity book has for teachers. It explains a little bit about the feelings wheel, and then it has some activities for you that you can use and to teach and support feelings in your classroom. All right, why take 5 breaths? So let me show you what the 5 breaths looks like. It looks like this. So we have a nice laminated sheet that you can see here, that when you take your breath, you can say you've done it. And you can move the Velcro piece, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. But why do we take 5 breaths? And you can do this on your own, because I don't know if we can do this virtually, but if you practice breathing in for a count of 4, and then holding it for a count of 7, and then breathing out for a count of 8, that's considered the amount of time for taking 1 deep breath. And after you do that, typically the majority of us feel much more calm. And it's such an easy technique that many of us learned in school, but we forget about it. So we need to practice it ourselves, but also we need to be supporting our children that we work with. And why is it so important? Because it actually does something in our body. It stimulates the parasympathetic response, which reduces oxygen consumption, and it slows our heart rate down. It reduces our blood pressure. It reduces muscle tension, and it helps to calm our mind. So it helps not only our body, but our mind. And incidentally, if you are someone who goes and has their blood pressure read by their physician, this is a very good technique to get your blood pressure down once you've hit the office. Just telling you from experience. The nice thing about this is you can see this is a good thing to do when you are either right before or right after being dysregulated. But we like to pair this with blowing bubbles. And this is this picture here is one of the calming activity cards. But when you blow with bubbles, you have to breathe in, breathe out. You can't just go, it doesn't work. So you get the deep breaths when you pair it with bubbles, and kids love bubbles. Bubbles tend to put smiles on people's faces, adults too. So I encourage you to pair your 5 breaths with bubbles. Calm down story. What is a social story? A social story provides step-by-step processes of what to do in an event, but it gives you step-by-step process of what to do. And it can be used for any, you can write social stories for any difficult situations or things that might be challenging. And calming down can be challenging for kids, and they might need some options and ideas of how to do it. And so pictures are offered. Having pictures of kids is very powerful. And so I'm going to share with you what the calming social story looks like. It's in Spanish at the bottom, and we are having it translated into Vietnamese, by the way. There's a little guy that says, I'm angry, I have feelings, I'm upset, what should I do? Sometimes I'm overwhelmed, and it talks about being overwhelmed. And then it says, when I'm upset or overwhelmed, I need to calm down, but what can I do? And so then it has some nice strategies, like counting to 10 is one. Take a break and read a book. You can draw quietly. You can see we have young children doing the activities. And here's I can put a snake on my shoulders, a beanbag snake on my shoulders, and that'll help me calm down. You can see it's in English and Spanish. And then this last page says I can get the calming kit out and try some of the strategies. So there's bubble blowing, there's Play-Doh, there's getting out the glitter bottle. So those are just some ideas. Take 5 breaths. And the last one I really like because it says, when I need to calm down, I should let my teacher know. So this actually supports kids reaching out for some help for self-regulation and knowing that it's okay and that this is another way to calm down. And when I'm calm, I can rejoin my friends again. This is something that can be read at the beginning of the day at circle time when everyone's brains are engaged, and they will have the ability then to remember and apply these strategies when they need them. So I encourage you to enjoy that calm down story, social story. The calming strategy cards. These are wonderful. They give visual options and they offer choices. So this is what they look like in the kit. They're going to come in a rubber band. You're going to put the ring on so you can hang these somewhere. I've actually worn them on a lanyard, so I have them at the ready. But there's lots of different choices in here. And we have a little guy who's going to go into marketing, share with these in a minute. I'll show it to you, but these are the calming strategy cards and what they look like. And there's quite a few. Drink. We'll take a drink. I will count. I will relax in a beanbag chair. I will blow bubbles, one of my favorites. I will relax in a beanbag chair. I will find a quiet space. So these are all strategies that kids can implement. I will use do push-ups against the wall, do chair push-ups. I will take a walk. I can squeeze. This little guy's squeezing a squeeze ball. I can jump. Believe it or not, jump gives a lot of information into the body and can help kids calm and regulate themselves. I will use Play-Doh, as I mentioned. You use excess energy with your hands. I will draw. Drawing is very calming. I will listen to music. And these are all in English and Spanish. And again, we're having the Vietnamese prepared. Hug a stuffed animal. That's a good one. I will read a book. I can breathe. Take those deep breaths. I can do yoga. And in the Calming Kit activity book, there's quite a few ideas for children's yoga ideas. Yoga fun. I can stretch. Kids need to learn to stretch. I can have happy thoughts. And that's it. So there's quite a few of them on here. And many of these strategies work really well for adults, if you know what I mean. So that's another part of the Calming Kit that I wanted to share with you. And these are some tips that come in the Calming activity booklet for teachers of different things that you can use that gives you more information about the calming cards, calming activity cards. So we're going to take a look at using the Calming Kit and how you can access it and what it looks like when you get it. So there's the picture of it and with its contents. And I'm going to share a couple clips of young children actually using some of these strategies just to give you an idea about how they can be used. And we actually developed these during COVID-19 because we had staff members at home with their children. And they were very happy to provide some video footage of them using it with their children. So this little girl, she's about 5. If I can find my cursor, there it is. And she is going to share with you.
If you are mad, you can breathe. If you're mad, you can breathe 5 times. Let me show you. And that's how you breathe.
Isn't she cute? She went through it a little fast, but that's okay because she knew she was being recorded. But that's just an example of a young child using it on her own. This is the Orpal book, and one of our staff has a lot of children, and she had her older children reading to her younger children, and she said that was a really great calming activity for them. And so I encourage you to think about that. Children reading to other children, and that's the book about the Orpal, not the apple, not the orange, but the Orpal. This little girl, she used the squeeze heart for a variety of different emotions. So I'm going to share it with you and then see what we come up with.
How does mad feel like in your arms? That's right. So how would you hold the squishy ball when you're mad? Oh, you could squeeze it really hard, huh? Now, when you have the big emotions, your body builds up energy. It's a safe way to release it is to squeeze the heart.
Oh, I will never lose this heart, by the way.
No, that's good. What else could you squeeze? You get angry? What else could you squeeze?
When you're sad.
Oh, you could use it when you're sad. That's right.
I'm probably a little sad right now.
Right? Why?
Still sad.
Oh yeah, because your cousin left. Yeah. What else could you squeeze if you don't have a heart? What else could you do? Could you
Mama, the also things that help me feel better when I'm sad or mad or crying or hurting myself. It's the way. The way is to so what I do to help me feel better is squish without this heart. It's love.
Oh, did you give a hug? Would that make you feel better to give a hug to someone else?
Did a heart. I'm going to hug to a heart.
Yeah.
So you can see she used her squeeze heart for being mad, for being sad, and then talking about love. So it was we enjoyed that little video clip. Calming strategy cards. This little guy, he's harder to hear, so you might have to increase your volume, but he's actually in 4th grade, and he's probably going to be a marketing expert someday. But he was actually using this in his classroom with his teacher. So I want you to hear his story because he's pretty cute.
Today I am going to be using the strategy card from the common kit. The way you use these is you take it out of the common kit and flip through it. It's strategy cards, so you can do what the cards say. Cards teach you how to do it. So, like, there's a thing. So basically, I can also demonstrate it there. So on the first one of this is, well, say you're mad and you wanna you wanna calm down. The first thing that you wanna do is look at how the card is positioned and then turn like that. I have been practicing this in class, and it has worked for me very well. Some other things is blowing bubbles, which comes with the strategy kit, and Play-Doh, which comes in the kit, and push. Say they're having a rough day, for instance, and they want to calm down. They could come get the strategy cards from the strategy kit, pull them out, and then do the cards. Strategy kit like this. Then you pull the stuff out. So, say I said something about the Play-Doh.
You think the kids in your class would use this?
Yes, I don't want to name names, but.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade, and I think kids love this. And because they're having a rough day, they could come and use the calming kit. I would definitely recommend it for some of my friends.
So you can see that even older children have found some use in this, and this 4th grade classroom was using this calming kit. So just putting it out there, letting you guys know. I'm now going to share a little girl using the feelings wheel and how she used it not only to identify her feelings, but also to learn about feelings. Ah.
So I want you to tell me how you felt after I asked you to change out of your pajamas. What did you do?
My mom did it. Pick the right hand.
I
So she was able to use that feelings wheel to identify mad. Her mom gave her the option, an idea of maybe going to your calming corner, calming area, and then she was able to actually learn about some of the different feelings and what they meant. So you can see how this visual support can help really discuss and identify what feelings are with young children. And it also gives them a sense of being in charge of themselves by being able to identify their feelings, their own feelings. So in summary, we're really close to being done. I want to make sure that you know that self-regulation for young kids should be learned early. Earlier the better. It's not perfect because remember our brains are not fully connected until we're in our mid-20s. Some adults still flip their lids, but that's okay. It's what you do that matters. So learning, it can be learned at a young age. It can be taught. And you can use the hand model of the brain. So I encourage you to use that hand model to imitate what our brain looks like when it's regulated. We discussed some strategies for when a child's flipped their lid and when a child is still in some control, but could be going to dysregulation really quick. The bottom line is that we really need to provide some strategies and skills that kids can use for life. Because we know that when you are regulated, you're able to engage in your thinking brain better and you do better in school all along. And it's also associated, as I mentioned, to that welcoming and belonging piece and feeling like you are welcome because you are more regulated and people want to be around you. So what I was going to show you next is, some of what the kit looks like and what we need to do, what you'll need to do. So I moved this up a little bit. And as I mentioned, it comes in a backpack like this. There's things will all come packaged in a cellophane wrap. And in the cellophane wrap will be the Oracle book, so you don't have to do anything. You will have the Calm Down Social Story, which you don't need to do anything with. You will get your feelings wheel, which has a hole in the middle. And there's a plastic arrow that's in the cellophane that you add. You just pull it out and punch it into the hole here and then put the back on so that a kid can then identify what their feelings are. And all these are, as I said, laminated and in English and Spanish. Then all the calm down strategy cards will come with a rubber band. The ring you will have to put on, it's in your cellophane bag. And then part of the calming kit, the calm down strategy cards will have all of the 5 breaths, there's 5 of them, all rubber band to this. So you'll need to rubber band it, put your ring on with these, the calming activity strategies, and then with your calm 5 breaths, you will receive some Velcro on 2 strips, and one will be hard and the other will be soft. And you will put the soft ones, one soft one on the top of this and one soft one in the bottom of it of each square. And then you will put one hard Velcro on the back of the breathe in and breathe out visual, and then you'll be able to hook them on there. Okay? On the back of this card, it's in English and Spanish, and has a cute little poem about calming down by taking your breaths. So this is something you will have to put together. And the wonderful thing is that there's directions about where to put the Velcro, because we know this can be confusing. And I think that's the last thing in here that and then you have your calming activity booklet that has all the teacher lesson plans and ideas and activities. And it's full of great information with a lot of pictures and lessons in it for you to access. So that's what it looks like. You do have to do a little bit of preparation with the Velcro. And then make sure you throw your cellophane away. We don't want anyone that shouldn't be getting it to get out it. All right? All right, so what will you do with this information? Typically when I do a training, I get people to write in what they're gonna do, but you, lucky people, get to do a form. So you're going to be doing, you're gonna complete this Google Doc. That's a bit.ly/ Monterey County Office of Ed COM, MCOE-COM. It will take about 5 minutes. It's got questions about what you will do with this, how will you use it, and then you need to actually give your name and your registry number and where you work and your title so you can get credit for taking this. So I will let everyone write this down so that you're eligible to get your Common Kit. https:// bit.ly/MCOECALM. Okay? So I'll give people a few minutes to write that down. And I really appreciate your attention to this, and I'm delighted to get these Common Kits out to Monterey County. And I want to thank the Monterey County Office of Ed folks for making this happen. And again, if you need to get hold of us or get more information, you can email us at inclusion@sccoe, or you can go to our website and email us from there, inclusioncollaborative.org. And that is it. We are completed with this training. I am excited that you're here with us. And don't forget to do your survey so that you can receive your Common Kit. Thank you so much. Have a great day and be calm.